So my scroll hunters back like cook crack. I'm always gonna have something for y'all, but today, yo, we gotta hit IG. Iran drop missiles on Tel Aviv. You know,
תראה את כולם רצים, תראו את האנשים, תראו את האנשים. תראו, פה נפל הטיל. תראה את כולם רצים, תראו את האנשים. I never made it.
you know, I think Israel lying. I mean, yeah, Israel lying. Oh, my fault. I think Israel lying, yo, because Israel getting hit.
What would you do if you're driving down the highway and a ballistic missile was flying right overhead over your car? This footage was just sent by my cousin in Israel. They were driving on the highway, and Iran decided to...
You know, the grand scheme of things is Israel people think defending yourself is evil. And they think that they've been protected by miraculously by God. Nigga keep saying that ain't nobody getting hurt. You want me to believe that only Iran people getting killed. You want me to believe only October 7th happened. Alright, so if only October 7th happened, why y'all niggas still fucking with people? We in fucking March. Come on, man.
You know, mommy, my mother, and my father, they don't know.
What's happening? Oh my God. Get covered! Get everywhere! Jesus.
And I want y'all to understand this is a United States military base that got hit by Iran with missiles.
Get down! Close! Close! What's happening?
Terminal high-altitude air defense systems are all going off at the same time, it seems here. The last time this happened, there was a coordinated defense between Israel, the United States, and other countries, including Jordan, to intercept these with aircraft as well. Trey, I mean, it's unbelievable to see what we're seeing going on in the skies above Tel Aviv right now.
Yeah, John, Sandra, you saw those live images.
Oh my God.
You know, I'd say Iran deserve everything. I mean, Israel deserve everything.
I ain't never been hit this many fucking times in my career.
While feeding crystal clean video to a ground crew that lived by checklists and coffee, its Rotax 912 engine hummed at steady 70 knots, slow enough to conserve fuel, fast enough to be anywhere.
که چرا باید یک ناو جنگی 13 میلیارد دلاری آمریکا از چند قایق تندرو چند هزار دلاری نیروهای مقاومت ترس و هراس داشته باشد؟ هرچند چنین وضعیت متزلزل و ناپایداری دقیقاً در روزهای اخیر برای دیگر ناو آمریکایی آبراهام لینکلن در اقیانوس هند ایجاد شده است. سپاهیان اسلام به شوق رویت و نوازش سیلی سقف بر ناو آمریکایی در عمق صحنه جنگ به انتظار نشسته و کاملاً آمادند تا شگفتانه‌های دریایی را از نزدیک به رویت تفنگداران آمریکایی برسانند. سرنوشت صدام در انتظار ترامپ و نتانیاهوی جنایتکار است که چرا باید یک ناو جنگی
It was about war. It was never about the liberation of women. No, this ain't about no liberation of no
Bro,
women.
are you dumb or are you dumb? because I think you're dumb.
Urgent message to the Iranian government right here. I need missiles here tonight. Israel's Channel 12 did a report on the new Patriot battery system. It's right here at the Palashamin Air Force Base. It's actually right here. You can zoom out a little bit, Iran, if you want to see that. Yet again, it's this exact area. I'm going to zoom out for you. This is where the Patriot battery system is. This is the guy that reported it. He's Channel 13. Actually, you can see it right here about the Aero battery air defense he's posting with it. That is going to be right here. It's right there.
Bro.
He's
Bro.
smart. I appreciate him for showing all that to them. Let them have that. Nah, fuck that. Ain't nobody with none of that. Y'all niggas keep blowing up their shit. They might as well blow y'all shit back up. I'm not for all of this. I don't want the war, but I don't want people to be able to go to another country and blow shit up and nobody and it just happens and everybody is okay with it. I'm not okay with this. Iran lists Canada Navy as a terrorist organization. And I believe it. Anybody in their waters that don't belong in their waters is terrorists. You terrorizing Iran. Israel is trying to terrorize Iran. And nobody is going to make me feel any different. And then, wait a minute. Here's another thing, right? I'm going to show y'all something because yesterday they voted on the transatlantic slave trade as being the greatest crime to humanity. And do you know the 3 states that voted against it? Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no.
Plus, the Russians were minutes away from meeting company they couldn't see coming. At 4:15, after nearly half an hour of silent tracking, the order came through. Said in 3 short words.
So, the United Nations General Assembly voted on a resolution regarding the transatlantic slave trade. With 123 countries supporting the resolution, 3 countries opposing it, and 5 countries abstaining the resolution. Led by Ghana, recognized that the transatlantic trade slave as the greatest crime against humanity and calls for reparations and apologies from countries involved in the slave trade. The 3 countries that voted against the resolution were the United States, Israel, and Argentina. The U.S. representative of the UN Economics and Social Council, Dan Negri, stated that the U.S. does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historic wrongs that were not legally under international law at the time they occurred. Many countries, including those in African Union and Caribbean nations, backed the resolution. The resolution acknowledged the lasting impact of slavery, including racial inequalities and underdevelopments affecting African and people of African descent worldwide. It emphasized the importance of addressing the historic wrongs and promoting justice, human rights, and dignity for African and people of African descent. I don't mean to be so bad and say this shit out loud, but bro, come the fuck on. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Y'all don't even want to say that you was wrong.
123 countries just stood up at the United Nations and said slavery was bad. 3 said no. The United States, Israel, and Argentina. That's it. That's the entire list. We are literally on the villain roster with Malay's Argentina. The resolution, non-binding, didn't cost us a dime, didn't automatically cut anyone a check. It just said out loud and on the record that kidnapping nearly 13 million human beings, chaining them in ships, and forcing generations into unpaid, brutalized labor was, and I'm quoting here, bad actually. And we voted no. And you want to know the reason why? Buckle up. They said that calling slavery the gravest crime against humanity creates an unfair hierarchy of atrocities. I'm sorry, what? The country that built the backbone of its economy on the backs of enslaved people is concerned about fairness to other atrocities? So we can't say slavery was really bad because it might hurt the feelings of other crimes against humanity? The UK abstained, the entire EU abstained. Countries that also had slave empires managed to sit on their hands rather than actively vote it down. We raised our hand and said no, 123 to 3, and we're in the 3. There's no spin here. There's no, well, actually, we looked the entire world in the face on the International Day of Remembrance of Slavery Victims and voted against calling slavery a crime against humanity. We are the bad guys. Receipts, not speculation. 120.
This shit is crazy, bro. And I don't know when we gonna actually stop allowing them to treat us like this. Breaking through. The U.S. and Israel voted in opposition of the United Nations having officially declared the transatlantic slave trade as the greatest crime against humanity. Look, and I mean the worst 2 countries in the world are the only ones that are still the ones that are still receiving benefits from slavery, as Israel continuously receiving benefits of slavery. Israel being an apartheid nation, Israel being people and having a religious ethnicity, ethnicity, whatever, however you said, them saying that they Jews and they not. This ain't about me. This is about what we really are seeing being done.
And that's why we're a villain, right? Because the UN General Assembly has adopted a draft resolution that unequivocally condemns the trafficking of enslaved Africans and the transatlantic slave trade as the most inhumane and enduring injustice against humanity. 123 nations voted to agree with that statement, but 3 said, nah, we don't agree. The United States of America, Israel, and Argentina. 50.
When we get our money for reparations, I want y'all to remember the 123 countries that fuck with us. Take your money and go there. Do not stay here. Do not re-put that money in this economy. Take your money and go somewhere else. You can do that. You don't have to be here. And the moment that they give me reparations, I'm leaving this country. I'm taking my family and we gone. Why do we have to stay here and be treated less than? I could go somewhere and be the best of the merit of my working capabilities. Not off of somebody saying, oh, I'm black, so I need a chance. No, they gonna fuck with me because my work ethic. They gonna fuck with me because of my drive and the way that I carry myself. That's why I want to get the fuck out of here, bro. Because no matter how good I try to be, it always turn out to be the wrong way. And the government got too much reach. Time to go, bro.
The United States, Israel, and Argentina are so racist they can't even acknowledge that the Atlantic slave trade was fucked up, was a genocide. The worst inhumane thing that has ever happened to anyone in this fucking world. Couldn't even acknowledge it. White people are so fucking racist that they can't even get past themselves to say, yeah, what was done by our ancestors was fucked up. Africa deserves reparations. Black people in America deserve reparations. It's crazy how Native Americans get land. Asian people get reparations. Israel, shit, y'all got billions of fucking dollars. The only people that have never gotten reparations or a fucking apology is black people. Y'all some racist bitches. The United...
And what she's saying is true, bro. And I'm sorry for all the white people that tried to be on our side, all the white people that wanted to do right by us. It's just not enough for y'all, for me to say it's worth us fucking with y'all. Because every time that we try, y'all motherfuckers put us in some bullshit. Now look at this shit right here. You can't even recognize that what you did was wrong. Because if you recognize what you did was wrong, then, because in their mind, the greatest crime against humanity was the Holocaust. That's what in their mind, the greatest crime against humanity is. They'll never give us credit and say, or give us respect and say that, yes, we did this to you. So this is what happened to y'all all throughout the world. But hey, and this is my question I would ask, right? Without bringing up religious shit, why are Jews so persecuted everywhere they go?
The United Nations General Assemblies voted to recognize the transatlantic slave trade as a crime against humanity. Tabled by Ghana, it also calls for reparations.
This resolution sends a very clear message that the international community would no longer tolerate impunity, that the international community stands for justice, that the international community and our multilateral system we have erected, no matter how long it takes, the day of reckoning will come. And so all of us as leaders should be mindful of our actions and our policies, that once we violate the rights of others, once we engage in impunity, in acts of injustice, the day of reckoning will come. To me, that is a very, very profound message that the UN is sending to the world today.
123 nations voted in favour of the resolution, 52 abstained, including Britain and the EU, while the US, Israel and Argentina voted against it. The United Nations...
That's what I'm talking about. Read it, yeah.
Supporters said that yes, this is an historical justice, but critic concern about thousands of other slaves from different trafficking that's still happening up until today, and also they concern about financial, legal, and practical responsibility of an act that has been happening for thousands of years. But the most important thing is that, what do you all think about this?
Before I even Googled it, I knew it was Argentina. Argentina allowed Nazis to find refuge there. I knew it was Argentina.
We shall.
That shit make me mad, yo, because like, how the fuck do the United States vote against giving black people, like, bro, you really telling us we bitches? So white people, that's how y'all feel. Like, white people, y'all bad. Like, look, all that shit that white man was running around America saying that it's some white guys that's sitting around that's feeling down on their luck, feeling like they've been missing opportunities, feeling like they ain't given a chance, feeling like they ain't gotten what was due to them, and they have been working hard, paying into a system to tell us that we don't give a fuck about what you saying. And you want me to continue. As I say this to y'all, I need an answer. Because we about to segregate. We about to separate. I'm about to call for a cold separation. Because I can't trust you. I'm calling for a cold separation. I'm calling for a cold separation. We need separate armies. We need separate governments. We about to go into a two-part state over here. Because if the United States is really not trying to recognize the transatlantic slave as the greatest crime against humanity, shit about to get real over here. And y'all busy worried about Iran. Like, real talk. Y'all not giving us respect over here, and you still running around blowing up shit in other countries. Bad. Remember, y'all, this is United States, Israel, and Argentina. So when we get power, remember, Israel, Argentina, the EU, and all of y'all abstain from voting. You ain't want to be a part of it. Okay, I heard what some of y'all said. Some of y'all voted for it. Some of y'all voted against it. None of y'all voted against it. But the ones that did was the United States, Israel, and the crazy part is look, oh my God, last night when I was watching it, cause I can't see my glasses. I heard the man say the United States. I didn't hear him say Israel, but I did hear him say Argentina. I just took a guess that it was Israel that abstained from it. And then when I went and read on the lines who abstained, there it is.
The US, Israel, and Argentina just voted against the UN's resolution declaring slavery the gravest crime against humanity. So now what? Meanwhile, 123 countries voted in favor, but 52, including the UK and all the 27 EU members, didn't understand the question, so they abstained. So now what? I mean, this is consistent with previous attempts, so there is nothing surprising here because some countries have a long track record of downplaying, ignoring, or not fully acknowledging the impact that historical injustice has had both in the past and now. So now what? You see, Africa is demanding reparation while in a position of weakness. But look, if the African Union had real political, economic, and sanctioning power to apply meaningful pressure, this conversation would look very different. But instead of uniting, some African countries are busy competing with each other over petty national rivalries.
Wait. Yeah, Africa, yo. Y'all gotta get together, yo. I need y'all to come together, and we gonna come together. And we gonna take this shit, like, it's nowhere in the world, the continent with the most resources is the poorest. I can't fathom it. Stop fucking around, man. Get this economic power. Like, bro, you don't even have, like, bro, do you know that we gave these niggas all the ideas that they got? We gave it to them. Y'all did. Y'all brought your ass over here and gave it to them. Stop coming over here giving your shit away. Stay home. Build it up. Stop selling it to that white man. Ghana has won a resolution at the UN General Assembly to recognize the transatlantic slave trade as the greatest crime against humanity. It is the greatest crime against humanity, and you bitch ass niggas couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop it.
I implore you to wake up. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men, okay? Wake up to who publishes these books and keeps us warring with one another. Christians versus Christians, right? Christians versus Muslims. Wake up and learn the true history of slavery, because that wasn't exactly a white men sport, okay? Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it, but it's there, and you can find it. I think all of us need to wake up to this, because it's making me absolutely sick. I'm done with it. This one is so fully off of the mother effing plantation. Truly, Ben Shapiro, fuck you and the midget horse that you rode in on. And I say that on behalf of the world. You describe yourself as a Talmudic Jew, and I've learned what's in that Talmud, and I encourage other people at home to learn what is in that Talmud so that you know what Ben thinks of you, because he doesn't just hate me, he hates you too, white men. He hates all Black people, okay? If he's following the rules of the Talmud, I mean, when I say hates, they think that we're animals, that they have a right to own us, that they have a right to make us worship them, that they have a...
I told you, I've never seen people that were so much entitled to our minds, bodies, and money. Like, Israel is so fucking entitled to think that we supposed to fight their wars and we supposed to die for them. They think that they above us in some way where they not. And then they in turn turn around, go in the Middle East, which is an apartheid state, because in 1948, you were born closer to me than the actual real Hebrew. Let's keep this shit G, baby.
Right to lie to us, that they have a right to sue us and take everything that we have, that they have a right to deceive us. I implore you.
It is time to acknowledge openly that much of Europe and the United States have been built from the vast wealth harvested from the sweat, tears, blood, and horrors of the transatlantic slave trade and the centuries of colonial exploitation. Maybe we should also admit that it cannot be easy to build confident and prosperous societies from nations that for centuries have their natural resources looted and their peoples traded as commodities. For centuries, the world has been unwilling and unable to confront the realities of the consequences of the slave trade. But gradually, this is changing, and it is time to bring the subject of reparations firmly to the fore. Granted, the current generations are not the ones that engaged in the slave trade, but that grand inhuman enterprise was state-sponsored and deliberate, and its benefits are clearly interwoven with the present-day economic architecture of the nations that designed and executed it. Reparations must be paid for the slave trade.
Give us our money, bro, so we can go home, man. Let us go home, bro. Y'all got us in an open-air jail in a fucking country that we don't belong. Let us go home. Send us back to Israel. And let them Israelis come over here. Send us over to Israel, let them Israelis come over here. Let's see what we can do.
Good morning. I want to show y'all something, but before I do, I need to give y'all some context. So, you know how whenever...
Oh, peace, peace. Because once again, it's on.
I know, bitch, be humble. Hold up, bitch.
See, Jewish people was the ones doing this shit, bro. They the one who came with that Jesus Christ Nazareth. Come on.
Let's be very clear. The reason there is no slavery in the world today, I mean, there's a lot of slavery in the world today, but in the parts of the world where there's no slavery, is because the British Empire ended it. That's why there is no slavery. That is...
So,
well, look, the fact that you are uneducated about history doesn't mean it's funny. So let me educate you now. Let me educate you now. Let me educate you now. I know that the woke narrative and the anti-Western narrative on slavery... Oh, you're not practicing free speech very well, are you? You're not practicing free speech very well, are you? The moment I say something you don't like, you're not practicing free speech very well, are you, sir?
Thank you.
I thought you were all about free speech. How about you let me finish my point?
Let's
Good.
finish the point, and then I'm going to...
Now,
and then I will
the
bring
woke
it to our
narrative
on-stage
and the
audience.
anti-Western narrative on slavery is
Please hold
there was
that,
no
hold that.
slavery, and then the British or the Americans came along and they started slavery. Slaves were the first good that were ever traded between human beings. Ever. They were the first good ever traded. Native Americans had slaves, Ottomans had slaves, African had slaves. Everybody had slaves. The reason there is no slavery in the West is the British Empire, having practiced slavery for a long time, like everybody else, ended it. Not only that,
White people always want to take credit for something. Shut your dumb ass up.
Trigger warning. The Trump administration just approved the sale of this station, 9 News, and its parent company, Tegna, to Nexstar, the parent company of Fox 31 here in town. Nexstar has previously said that multiple stations in the same city will be combined. President Trump backed the deal to enlarge America's biggest owner of local TV stations, saying it would, quote, help knock out the fake news. Nexstar has declared itself the anti-fake news.
Local news just changed forever, and nobody's really talking about it. Nexstar just took over Tegna, which makes them the biggest TV company in the country.
Do you know that one company is going to control most of your local TV news? Nexstar just bought another big TV owner called Tegna in a $6.2 billion deal. And together they now control over 260 to 265 TV stations in 44 states and DC. That means their stations can reach around 80% of households in the United States. Can you see where the problem is?
The FCC chairman just
do a little research, y'all. They always let it be known that the Africans were already at.
And this is why I'll be saying America.
A lot of people are offended by this video, but there's a massive financial lesson here. Check it out.
Why does money run away from Mexicans, and it arrives and settles, and loves being around Jews? Here are 3 reasons. The first one, when Mr. Money arrives with a Mexican, many times it's crumpled.
Well, my PhD is actually in classics and ancient history, and I'm curious now that we're raising the question of qualifications, and you're asking me about judging those texts, whether in fact you do read Greek. Yes.
Hey, a lot of people don't like Candace, but hey, you can hate Candace all you want, but Candace got that tea and she got that truth for you.
Not enough people are talking about this underreported story of United States citizens' tax dollars being used to pay millions of dollars.
hadalno oo aan dhahno annaga haddii aan Soomaali nahay waan ka soo tagnay in la kala qaybiyo waan ka soo tagnay annaga jinsi hadalno oo aan dhahno annaga haddii aan Soomaali nahay waan ka soo tagnay in la kala qaybiyo waan ka soo tagnay annaga jinsi.
Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boys leader who was convicted of seditious conspiracy against the United States for his role in January 6th, who Donald Trump...
On into the Smithsonian, he's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we
organization
address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like,
He's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No.
Okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you look at let's talk about the fact
slavery in America was.
do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to
I didn't
try
realize
to
this was
end
controversial.
slavery?
Okay.
Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm
who
not.
was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
in
that
the context of American history. In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door, the first thing you see is the gay flag?
I don't know if y'all know this, but the slave...
On into the Smithsonian, he's effectively now has...
That, like, bitch, you trying to spin us. We're not going for that dumbass shit. You trying to spin us on if slavery was bad and if white people did bad by owning slavery, and we can't say that because it makes white people look bad, and white people ain't the only ones that own slaves. Bitch, what? But you know who? Let me tell you, the only ones that voted against saying slavery was the greatest crime against humanity. Yes. White people. Now raise your hand if you think we should make slaves out of white people so they know how I feel. Damn, y'all. Y'all gotta stop agreeing with me. This is getting bad.
I don't know if y'all know this, but the slave trade caused the entire ecology of the Atlantic Ocean to change. For an example, the slave trade caused sharks to change their migration patterns. Because they learned to follow the ships to feed off of the African men, women, and children that were being thrown overboard. I don't know if y'all know this, but
Protect Black Women with a photo comparing Meg Thee Stallion to Caroline Bryant, the woman that lied on Emmett Till. DJ Academics is lost in the sauce of stupidity if he believed Tory Lanez is innocent. Not only is it a false equivalency, it's conflating domestic partner violence between...
I wish to God y'all had all that fucking energy for the Bloods and Crips.
Wartime. Who's the king? Christ. Who's the king? Christ. What color is he? Black. What color is he? Black. Never give up. Never give in. Never give up. Never give in. Unity. Unity.
That's right, black man. It's wartime. Get the fuck together. You know what time it is.
True black Africans and African Americans do not claim black Americans. We are not the same. African tends to focus on progress, family values, and community upliftment, rather than dwelling on historical grievances. They prioritize education and hard work.
You need to mind your business, African lady. That's why you got that whitewash mindset. I'm trying to get this money so we can get into being able to care about family values and shit like that. But you talking out the side of your neck.
Crazy people are going to ruin this country. See, the people that, these religious fanatics, they're going to call people that are true Christians religious fanatics. But they're...
Black people sold black people, white people just paid for it. My great-great-grandmother was sold by her father to another black man, who then sold her to who became her husband and had kids. Not a white person in sight.
Candice Owen doesn't know, in the Arab world, majority of cities, black people cannot live in a normal cities. They have to live in a segregated city called a B town, which is interpreted to slave town. They have multiple candies they call slave candy, and you see like a face of a black man, and they eat it and they call it a slave candy. They don't know the level of racism. And
so there is a neighborhood in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip, where 11,000 Afro-Palestinians live. It is called Al Abib. You know what that means? Slave. Yes. That is where black people live.
The Islamic classical law, it seems like one can own a slave. So can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, and this is rooted in the Quran itself, that since the Quran has left.
What's your message to Americans who think that bombing of Iran was in some way sort of intended to distract Americans from the Epstein files?
Well, listen, I think we're seeing this pattern, right? Trump has impulsively went in on Venezuela. He impulsively went in on Iran. There was no exit and no end game for either of these situations. It led to increased global instability everywhere he goes, and every time he's done that, it has been consistent with a spike or a revelation in what is happening with the Epstein files. I don't think that coincidence is something to dismiss off the cuff. I think that he feels existentially tied to it, and I actually think that it is one reason that he must be removed from office, because if this
got that much capability to drag us down into a war, do you know what's in those files? We might bring back the death penalty for some of y'all, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I find out what's in them files, I'm advocating for the death penalty. I'm telling you. Some of y'all got to go, bro. We can't have that type of evil around the world. You know, polluting our children's mind and growing up thinking like that's the type of shit supposed to happen. No. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me today. Scrolled it through.